Ladies and gentlemen, the market's flipping back upwards in a really good way. And so we're going to discuss why some of the pressure's easing, what are my few favorite stocks I'm getting into, as well as what you should keep up to date in the market to protect your portfolio. Really want to make sure you guys make a lot of money in the market, but also keep educated on what's happening all in one place. So if you enjoy this content, it mean the absolute world to me if you could leave a like down below and click subscribe so you can stay up to date on the videos, and this could ultimately get passed out to more people. Now, just before we dive into the market here, we're going to look at the VIX and what's actually happening. As you can see, the VIX has gone down slightly to just under 26 from its highs here of the week of 31.5. So that's good that it's coming down. I'm definitely super glad. The fear, there's still quite a bit of fear, and we're going to discuss the forward PE ratios in the market today, but really some good buying signals for investors. And we've seen times like this in the past. And so if we look at the S&P on the day, a really, really good flip in the market. We're seeing a lot of bounce back. Now, this could be just a bounce and then we can keep going into more of the correction. But I think we're at a point where a lot of these SaaS companies are super oversold. We just saw the Meta lawsuit and YouTube lawsuit there, calling their platform semi-addictive, where they're going to have to pay out like $370 million or something like that. So that was affecting the stock. But we're seeing a lot of these stocks, Oracle, Palantir, even let's look at some other one, Amazon, MasterCard, Visa. These companies are down huge from their all-time highs, and they're reaching spaces where they're basically at their 52-week lows, which is fantastic for buying opportunities because the fundamentals haven't changed at all. If we look at the bonds, as you can see, the bond yield is coming down, which is good. The bond yield, we don't really want that to come up. We want interest rates to get cheaper as well as to be cheaper to borrow money. And so let's look here. We have an article here from CNBC today. Dow rallies 1,000 points as optimism grows for an end to the Iran war. So these are really the live updates. So essentially what they're saying in this article is any steps towards ending the war overall, the stock market really likes that. So, and then they go on to say, and so you are getting that really brief rally within the war, obviously. Now, they did come out this morning in the White House and say they are above, or they are ahead of schedule with the war. They expect it to be like 4 to 6 weeks. And Trump also came out and said, hey, we're actually above where we thought we'd be in the war. They still have around 3,000 targets to hit, I believe, but that the stock market really did like that. Okay. Now, they also said that technology, which has been under pressure since the conflict began, rose broadly. The technology sector traded almost 2% higher than NVIDIA, climbed more than 3%, and Microsoft advanced more than 1%. Microsoft, we've seen a huge hit to Microsoft as well. So that's good news. They also said the bottom line is if we haven't solved the oil problem, then that continues to put pressure on the market. Now, if we look at oil on the day, I believe, it's at 102. So it's been hovering around that range for a few days now. In the Strait of Hormuz, they did let through a couple ships, which is good, but we're still seeing oil way too high for the likings of the world. Once we see that come back down to 70, 65, even 80s, potentially we could see the markets really start to relax, investors start to flood back in. But right now, there's a lot of fear in the market. And that leads me to an important topic that with these articles, and they're here to keep us up to date on what's happening in the market. But really what you want to consider and realize is these companies are essentially financially backed. Okay, so they're backed by the sales, the revenue, the growth of that company within the different industries, layoffs affecting the company. And you essentially want to think of these companies like a budget that you're running at home. How much money do you have coming in? Are you going over budget? Are you saving and investing? It's the exact same idea. So when you look at a company like this that's being affected by oil prices and war and the fears of AI not necessarily hitting their bottom line, you wonder why are these SaaS companies in specific so oversold? There's nothing in particular that points to these companies being bad. Like Microsoft, what's bad about it? Not much. We're seeing Microsoft at a level that hasn't been seen since the tariff crash last year. So it's almost hitting that. And we'll go through the charts here in a second. Now, I'm also going to go through 2 stocks today, so we're going to get into that shortly. But we have another article here by CNBC. It says Oracle cutting thousands in latest layoff round as company continues to ramp AI spending. Okay, so definitely some good and bad news for this. So let's watch this quick video.
Trying to bounce off some session lows here. Let's get to our Seema Modi with a news alert on Oracle. Hey, Seema.
Hey, Carl, I can confirm from 2 insiders that Oracle is laying off thousands of employees. The notifications were sent out today. It comes as the company continues to double down on its massive AI bet, developing and leasing data centers across the country. As we know, it's gone to the debt market to fund these bets. now looking at another option by reducing its workforce as a way to drum up more cash. In fact, there was a TD Cowen report last month suggesting that 20 to 30,000 layoffs would free up around $10 billion. We're looking at the stock up just about 3% here. More as we get it, guys.
Okay, thank you, Seema,
Wow. So $10 billion a year in salaries saved by investing in AI infrastructure. Now, obviously, Oracle needs to also find money. So they're taking on debt, which is what she said, to build out these AI infrastructure and programs so it can ultimately help them cut jobs. So Oracle said with Oracle, which employs 160,000 people as of May of 2025, declined to comment. The company's stock price is down 26% this year, dropping more than all other tech mega caps. Oracle continues to sell its flagship database and storing and serving up corporate information. In recent years, alongside cloud rivals such as Amazon, the company has ratcheted up capital expenditures as it builds its data, AI centers, and infrastructure that can handle AI workloads. But Oracle is smaller than cloud peers. Oracle has been leaning on the debt market to fund its build out. In January, Oracle announced its plans to raise $50 billion in debt and equity. During earnings last month, executives said there was no money plans to raise debt as of 2026. So obviously we have two important things that's happening here. Obviously, there's lots of mega cap companies and large cap that are spending a ton of money on building out these AI infrastructures, programs, anything under the sun, cloud computing, to make sure to cut costs to the employees. Okay, so this is just a lot of uncertainty. And this comes back to like market fundamentals. The market doesn't necessarily like uncertainty. And when you hear headlines like this almost every other day that, yeah, they're cutting jobs, not just for Oracle, but for Meta and all these bigger companies, medium and small caps, it can get very, very concerning about where the market's actually going. Where's the spending power going to be over the next 2 years, which is really when a lot of these build outs are going to happen. So a tool that I really rely on, especially with this, is the CME Group FedWatch tool. And this really looks at whether we're going to have interest rate hikes and when's the probability that we're going to have interest rate cuts, which is super important. So as you can see, we've had some big changes in this, especially since the last Federal Reserve meeting, when Jerome Powell said, well, we might even see increased rates. And so there has been a lowering here. So this is the CME watch tool, obviously the aggregate meaning probabilities. So about a 59% chance of a rate cut. And then this has gone down here about 40.41% rate hike. So depending on what actually happens over the next few months with jobs, with the war, with oil, as well as just overall inflation pressures, which is the heaviest pressure that the market's feeling right now. If the war ended today with Iran and the US pulled out and there was no more bombs dropped, I still think there would be a lot of downwards pressure on the market. And when there's lots of fear, it means it's a great time to purchase good, solid companies that will weather the storm through AI. They'll weather the storm through the war and through all the oil scares because they're good companies. They're here to stay. And so that's what we're going to dive into today. We're going to dive into one company that isn't necessarily a massive mover, but a good safety company that is reinvesting a lot. And then the other one is a well-known company that is having some massive growth in the advertising space. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. The first company here is Meta. So as you can see, we're having lots of downwards pressure from Meta. Right now it's at 523, and you can see it was at $786 back in August of 2025, about midway through the month, okay? So down quite a bit from its recent highs, at least 30%. And you can see here that this was the kind of the tariff tantrum. It's recovering from there. But I mean, what a good fundamental company here with advertising dollars, growth in the AI space. Now, Meta has 3.5 billion users every single day on their platforms. So obviously not just like Facebook, but Instagram app, a lot of different programs. Me personally, I use a bunch of their different programs every single day. But a lot of the revenue growth that we're seeing from this company, and we'll look at the earnings here. Earnings date's coming up April 26 on the 29th. But their last earnings, they did exceed and hit expectations. But this is a company with fantastic statements. So total revenue growth year over year was 23% at $59 billion, nearly $60 billion in total revenue. Gross profit on the quarter, Q4, was around $48 billion. So very, very good profit margins. That grew as well, about 24%. And then operating income was about 24 billion. Okay, so net income on the company was up 9.26%. So it was about $22.77 billion. So this is a company that relies heavily on users as well as data. And as we go into a AI space, you might be wondering, how is AI going to really help this company advertise better and help their users advertise? If you guys don't know, they advertise a lot. And one thing they came out with and they're developing is how to actually help advertisers generate those advertisements with AI. Now, they do have a really smart engine behind it that does targeting of ads and all that stuff. And some of your favorite influencers and creators do use Meta quite a bit. But how will this actually help out the revenue growth? Because Google is currently at 210 billion, okay? So Meta's not too far behind at 170 billion in advertising revenue. So to close the gap, Meta's relying on AI build out, helping its users utilize the new technology to build the ads for them. Sounds great. Everyone wants it to be simpler, quicker, and easier. And they're delivering just that. And so I think that is a really strong possibility that's going to increase Meta's, really their balance and all of their metrics, because it's a great company. And even though they did go through a lawsuit here just shortly ago, I think it was like in the last week and a half, they lost a case and they have to pay out 370 million, which is being fought, is being like, it's going to go through the courts again, essentially. I forget the exact word slipping my brain, but I mean, that definitely affected the stock price for sure. But if we look at the earnings here, I mean, just so fantastic. We see Q4 2025 reported was 59, estimated was 58. So they exceeded that by 2%. And you can see every single quarter before then was essentially very similar as well, beating revenue and earnings, but very, very consistent, which is great. Q3 of 2025, obviously that wasn't the very best. But even then, the stock was going up during then. And then as the earnings came in, it plummeted pretty heavily. Now, I think this is really relying on what's going to happen at the next earnings play. Now, Meta is one that I'm buying very heavy right now. I really like Meta. And I think as they go into the future with AI, I think they're in a really good spot. They have lots of data from their users, which I can't stress how important that is, because AI can learn from the users and the data you receive. So because they have 3.5 billion users every single day across their products, I think that's really going to help them gather that information, turn that into really good tools so they can help out the advertising space. Now, Amazon's another one that's getting really big into the advertising space. It is a smaller player right now, but it is a competitor in the space. So as long as Meta can really establish itself as the next AI player with creating these ads, I think there's a really high chance that this stock will go up pretty heavily. So I think by the end of the year, getting up to, honestly, back up to recent highs and potentially exceeding as long as the next few earnings do really good. Right now, it is oversold pretty heavy from its highs. And you can see here, it's even broken the Bollinger Band, so very low on the band. So over the next week, going on the 4-hour chart, getting into some positions and making some money on these upward swings and trends is fantastic. As you DCA, it's not a bad thing to DCA downwards as well on a company like this. Because when there's such strong revenue, once the fears settle down and people understand that this still is a good company, then usually the investors rush back in, which brings me to another piece, the forward PE ratio in the market right now. In the market, we are at almost lows back to when we had the April crash with the tariffs, the Liberation Day. With that being said, when there's such high fears, when the VIX is consistently hitting 30 every week, when the VIX is over 25 consistently every week, when there's war, and when there's all these different implications, it doesn't mean it's a bad time to buy. We just have to find the good companies within the actual market and focus our attention towards that. Now, I'm not about buying these companies that are going to basically double overnight. I'm about companies that I'm willing to hold for like 5 years. That's what I'm trying to think of. Now, I do trade options on these as well, which I don't typically do too much on Meta if there's not like super good premium. But with the volatility right now, there is higher premium. And I mean, we've gone through the cycles before. 2023 dipped down, and look at the absolute upside here, all the way down from 119 to 520, and then going all the way up to 750. So it just shows you the power of a great, great company. But that brings me to the next company we're going to dive into, which is Disney. Now, this is a pretty cool one. Disney obviously is investing a ton in its it's investing a ton in its infrastructure. And that's caused a little bit of fears because they have to take on a lot of debt to actually build out some of these projects that they want to do. Overall, retention is down from the adults for Disney World, and we're just seeing a lot less traveling within the space, especially when the economy weakens, which we have seen quite a little bit. So for Disney, if we pop over here and we look at the charts, you can see it's sold off again too. It hasn't really gone back up to its all-time highs from 2021. And I think this is a strong point where we could see not a returning to the highs, but really a good possibility of seeing this stock go back up into the 150, 140 range, and then maybe create a new support level. The reason why I say that is this is where we saw it in 2020. And as you can see, it had a similar support level, 2019, 2016, 2018, and then it created that new support level. So as long as we gap up to that level and actually sit there, we could see a very strong movement. Now, on this company, we're not going to see massive movements. And this company is more of something, if you're scared of all these tech stocks and you still want to make a little bit of money in the market, this is a good one, but it's not going to triple overnight and all that stuff because there's essentially two different types of companies. There's a company you can imagine as a big boat, like a cruise ship, like a big, big boat. And it's hard to maneuver because it takes a long time to turn the boat. There's lots of passengers on the boat, or you have like a little mini speedboat. So a speedboat's great. You can move nice and quick until there's like a really big storm that approaches. And that storm is like the stock market, like bad news coming, like wars and high oil prices. People stop spending as much. That little speedboat will get swallowed up by the ocean. Bigger ships can make it through those storms. It just takes a longer time to turn. So when they're turning in a new direction, it can be scary. It can take many years to actually come to fruition. And it takes lots of debt usually to make that happen, which is what we're seeing Disney go through right now. And so let's pop over here to the chart. You can see they've done really good hitting earnings. Next earnings is coming up Wednesday, the 13th of May, 2026. But you can see they've been beating expectations and doing really good in that category. So let's go ahead and break down their fundamentals here. So total revenue was $26 billion in Q1 of 2026, up 5.86%. Gross profit, $8 billion, up about 2%. Operating income was down a little bit, and then the pre-tax income was $3.6 billion. Now, the net income, because they have a lot of debt that they're servicing, you can see it is lower, around $2.4 billion. EPS about 1.34, so that was down a little bit as well. But let's go ahead and see here. You can see here, price to earnings ratio is 13.9, price to sales about 1.77, and overall decent performance, except for last quarter when it dropped a little bit. Q4 of 2025. So in general, a great company to dollar cost average into if you're a little bit more fearful of the market, or you can go more the aggressive approach and really, really understand that Meta is a great company that went through a lawsuit, some crappy stuff, and they are capable of making a lot of money. So it's completely up to you guys. Again, make sure to do your own research before you just jump into these companies. I do a lot of research, but don't just trust any single one person. Do your own research. Make sure you understand the fundamentals. If any of that sounds confusing to you, I do offer a full mentorship, so just click the link below, book a call with my team, and we'll see if we can help you out. But we will see you guys next time, and make sure you subscribe so you can be up to date when I release those videos. We'll see you next time. Peace.